Hello, for the second Sunday in Ordinary Time, using two readings. The first reading from Isaiah the prophet, 62, verses 1 to 5. And then the Gospel, John 2, verses 1 to 11. And the title of this is The Big Promise of a Big Party. Which is sort of the kingdom of God. But anyway, promise of a big party. Well, the gospel starts out with Mary and Jesus in Cana of Galilee, and they're with many friends and relatives and celebrating a wedding party. And here this bride and groom are celebrating their joy of their love and their marriage. And Mary and Jesus are some of the few people or many people that are at this party. Could have been too big because it was in this little village of Canaan. Well, towards the end or in the middle of the party, Mary notices that they're running out of wine. And she says, Jesus, they're running out of wine, help them. Mary must have had some insight not into wine, but in they're running out. And the insight, Jesus, you can help them, help them. And Jesus says, well, what's that got to do with me? Huh? Well, I'm not in charge of this party. This is not my wedding or my relative's wedding, but that's not my. Mary insists with her insight and says, well, and she tells the people or the head people that are running out of the wine, do whatever he tells you. And so the evangelist here, as far as John, he sets the scene. He says, at that party in the corner somewhere in that house, there were 6 jars for washing stinking feet of the people who came out of the desert into the party. And in each of these 6, they contain up from 20 to 30 gallons. And 20 to 30 gallons, that's a lot of water. And it becomes a lot of wine. And so Jesus, well, to satisfy his mom, his mother, Mary, he says, well, fill them up. And they fill them up to the brim. So you have 150 to 180 gallons of water to wash stinking feet. And then he says, well, then when they filled them up, he said, well, now take him to the head guy who's in charge of this wedding feast, or feast. And they do. And the head guy says, where'd you get this? This wine's better than the wine you've been serving all day, all evening. Why would you ever serve the best wine first? Get the people a little high and then give them the cheaper stuff. What a story. This is the first miracle that Jesus worked out of 37. And what's that sort of mean? This guy can do anything. And this guy, Jesus the Christ, with his mother Mary, here in Cana of Galilee, this little village, is at a wonderful party, and it must have been wonderful because for the rest of the day or the rest of the time, they had up to 150 or more gallons of wine and the best Cabernet Sauvignon, Italian Chianti, Rhineland wine, oh, whatever, but the best. Well, what's the point? As far as the point is, in every New Year's Eve in New York, when that ball's up the top of the buildings and so forth, And at the stroke of 12, when it comes down, and that's the beginning or the end or the duration or the time of the big party in New York, the beginning of the new year. And it's all time oriented. The beginning of the new year. This year, when that happened, the beginning of 2025. Let the party begin. Well, let the party continue. And that's exactly what Jesus did in Cana of Galilee. Not let the party begin, but it's a new party, and we got an abundance of everything. But this party is a party that began in time, but will never end. This party is bigger than any year in New York or any party in Roman history or any party in your individual lives. This party is going to last forever. And it's going to be the kingdom of God where there is not suffering. And they're partying, in Gaza, aren't they? Today and tomorrow, Sunday, when the cessation of the war, it's war stops for 60 days. Hope and pray, hope and pray. But the kingdom of God is when there will never be Gazas. There will never be World War I and IIs. There will never be Alexander the Great conquering the world. There will never be the Roman Empire in the world. There will never be Hitler trying to make and take over the world. That miracle, the first of 37 above nature happenings, supernatural happenings, is Jesus Christ. And I think that's the sign that Jesus was talked into by his mother. One of these days, let the party begin. The end of the world, the second coming of Jesus, but it is a party that will last and last. It goes on forever. That's a big party where 150, 170, 80 gallons of wine in Canada, that historical little party, which was a big party and an unusual party, there's no comparison. But I think that's exactly when I see these people celebrating life, having fun, having a big party. Well, the big party is the kingdom of God. And I think Jesus was sort of pointing that out, not only to help his mother or quiet her down, but Jesus was pointing out in the long run, what I'm starting here on planet Earth is going to be the biggest, the best, and the eternal party that I call heaven, that I think he calls the kingdom of God. It's all over the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and it's talked about by Jesus over and over and over again. Let the party begin. Have a good day.